Okay, I am making this video for somebody that I had met at the store. They want to get into PC gaming, but not quite sure where to go, and they don't want to spend a whole lot of money because they want to play mostly Grand Theft Auto on the PC. So I tried to stick around $600 like they wanted. I did go over a little bit, but it's pretty cheap build that is going to be able to play Grand Theft Auto in 1080p in at least medium to high settings. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with our motherboard. I went with a Gigabyte B450. This is a very versatile motherboard. I used to actually have one of these before I upgraded to the X570 that I have now. This one will hold a multitude of different processors. You can go from a Ryzen 3 to a Ryzen 7. I do not believe that the B450 will hold a Ryzen 9. It may need a BIOS update and it might be able to hold it. I did read somewhere that if you decide to go with a Ryzen 9, you can force update the BIOS of the B450 and it will be able to use a Ryzen 9, but directly out of the box, you're only going to be able to go up to Ryzen 7. But the Ryzen 7s are still really good processors. I had a Ryzen 7 2700X before I upgraded to the Ryzen 9 3900X, and I still enjoyed it. I just like the Ryzen 9 more. So for your processor, I decided to go with a Ryzen 3 1200 desktop processor, and it does come with the Wraith Stealth cooler. So you don't have to worry about purchasing a cooler on the side as it comes in the box. It's a decent one. It is a quad-core processor. Not as good as a lot of the newer ones where you got like 8, 16 cores or like a Threadripper that's got 32, but you really don't need that much in order to actually start in PC gaming. This will do what you need. And with the B450, later on, if you decide to, you can get a Ryzen 7 2700X, which I do believe is a octa-core processor. So for your power supply, I decided to go with a 500 watt because you're not really going to be drawing too much power for this, so you don't need to overload your power supply unit. You can upgrade it later on if you choose to, but for this, I decided to go with a 500 watt. It's perfect. You'll be able to use it just fine. Now for your RAM, I did decide to go with a more cheaper brand. Now I do have this in my budget PC. And it does work really good. It's not Corsair or anything like that, no, but it's still really good RAM. And with this right here, it comes in two 4GB sticks, so you'll be able to dual channel this and get a better performance out of your computer. And it's cheap. It's $51 for 8GB compared to going to Corsair, and it's like $75 for 8GB. If you do want a much better performance, I would suggest in possibly going with two 8GB sticks and making it 16 gigs instead. It will give you a better performance, but 8GB will still do you just fine. Now this right here is strictly to put Windows. That's what this one is for. It's only 250GB, but for better performance of your PC, you want Windows on its own separate hard drive or solid state drive or M.2 drive if you decide to use that. But this is 256GB, more than enough room for Windows 10 to be put on there. You will have some extra room on there if you want to put stuff on there, because I think Windows 10 uses maybe 60GB, maybe 70. So you'll have that extra leeway if you want to put like pictures or something like that on there. But personally, I would say put your Windows on this and leave it alone. For your actual place where you're going to put your games, I went with Western Digital Green 1TB SSD. It's not as fast as a Black, it's not as fast as an Evo, but it's still a solid state drive, which will allow you to load your games a lot faster. For your tower, I decided to go with an NZXT H510. It's a mid tower, so it's not going to be too small. You'll have enough room for everything. The only thing is, this tower does not come with a bay in it. So you won't be able to put a DVD drive or anything like that in this tower. But in PC gaming, Everything is digital. There is nothing that is physical copy on PC anymore unless you get older titles. Now, one thing I do got to tell you about this case is it does come with a USB-C port, and the B450 does not support USB-C, so you will not be able to use that on this case. But if you upgrade your motherboard later on to one that can support USB-C, your case already has one on it. So just keep that in mind. Yes, it has a USB-C, but you can't use it. At least not with that motherboard. Now for your graphics card, this is a little kind of thing because graphics cards are extremely expensive right now. I purchased myself a 750 Ti about 3 years ago for like 60 bucks. Right now, they're going for 200. But the 750 Ti has more than enough power to play Grand Theft Auto 5 easily. You will have to tone the graphics down a little bit with a 750 Ti, as it's only 2 gigabytes of GDDR5. It'll still play it. You'll be able to play in 1080p, probably medium settings, with your draw distance down. If you decide that you want to go ahead and boost it up a little bit, though, for about 150 bucks more, you can get a 1050 Ti, and with this one, you can 1080p max settings Grand Theft Auto 5 easy. But just remember, it's going to be $150 more if you decide to go with a 1050 Ti. Now, one thing real quickly, when you plug in your Wraith cooler, because this will probably be the first time that you've actually built a PC, when you plug in your Wraith cooler, you are going to want to make sure that the CPU fan of the Wraith cooler is plugged into the CPU fan on the motherboard, or else it will not post. But that's pretty much it for this build. Now, if you go with the 750 Ti, this is what you're looking at. $682 plus tax. I didn't add the tax into it, but $682 for this specific build, but you will be able to play GTA 5 and a slew of other games on it. Now, if you decide to go the other route, it'll be $832.87 if you decide to go with a 1050 Ti. Personally, I would do the 750 Ti right now. Wait for the prices to drop down because they're going to start dropping. Now that the semiconductors are being made again, they are going to start dropping. I would go ahead and just get the 750 Ti for now so you can play. And then later on, when the 1050 Ti drops back down to around 150, 160, then get that. Or go all out and get a 3070 or a 3080 for $500 to $600. I did go ahead and put everything through PC Part Picker. And this is everything. The Ryzen, the B450, the Patriot Viper, the Western Digital, the 256 gigabyte, all this stuff is what's going to go inside your case. And it does show green right here, but it says C notes below. And that's right here. NZXT H510 ATX mid-tower case has a front panel USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type-C port, but the B450 does not support it. Other than that, this entire thing will work. Now, I know that the last thing that I'm missing is your Microsoft Windows, but that download off of Microsoft, the free boot copy, and there is a slew of ways to get a legit copy of Windows 10 without having to pay $200-300 for it. There are ways to do it. I can't talk about that on here because I don't need Microsoft suing me, but there are ways around it if that's the route that you choose. That is a decent mid gaming PC. Hope you enjoyed that. Have any questions whatsoever, go ahead and leave a comment down below. I will get to it as soon as I can. Thanks for watching. I hope you build it and I hope you enjoy it. Stay safe out there. See you in the next one.